It's not a secret that I'm into grimdark fantasy and character design, and that I have, for some reason, personal history to Five Nights at Freddy's. So why not put my own spin on some of the characters, the big bad, the big main bad, the big main villain William Afton, who is giving big lich energy. So I redesigned him in my low poly dark fantasy style. For the base character design, I took again my reference sheet, my skeletal reference sheet, to get a feeling for the proportions. I tried to make sketches for the character, but my drawing skills are like super weak, so I'm better off just straight up jumping into Blender and just start modeling, even though I think I started 3 times and I deleted everything and started from scratch again. So I guess this year is the 3rd time that I started modeling the character. But yeah, I took my reference sheet, my skeletal reference sheet, to get the understanding for the proportions, for the human proportions and stuff, and nothing less and nothing more. And my other references, I wanted a somehow fashionista vibe with William Afton. And my main inspiration for him was like a classical fantasy lich, because he's all about those dead children, and I shouldn't said that, and like, you know, summoning the ghosts into bears and chicken and serving pizza and stuff. So my main like background for his character was like this forest lich, more or less, like almost shaman-esque vibes and stuff. And I thought, because like the bunny theming is very big with Springtrap and William Afton, and he uses a lot of like bunny personas. So I tried to incorporate it, and my version of William Afton is a sir. So at some point he was a noble knightman, and he had like land and stuff. But his castle, at least the townsfolk tell stories like that. His castle burned down, burying him underneath the, you know, the structure of the castle, and he was always wearing one of his like nice. He was always wearing nice armory, and in this fire of his castle, undisclosed how it came to be. He was trapped in the castle and was burning and melting and fusing with his armory. So, and that's the reason why he's wearing this giant, long, thick fur coat made out of rabbit fur to cover up his skin. His skin, which is melted with his armory pieces. And yeah, I'm not doing a big reveal about like his body underneath. I'm more focusing here on the base character design. But I mean, if I would turn it into some kind of a fan game or something like that, or like a game, there would be a second version that, like a Dark Souls game or something like that, a second phase that would reveal what's underneath his fur coat. And yeah, and as you can see, the only armor piece that's exposed underneath his fur coat is the chest armor, which looks like a regular armor, but when he takes off the fur coat, you see that like over 60% of his body is like fused with his armory and stuff. But yeah, that's why he's wearing the bunny fur coat. And yeah, I'm trying to currently here I'm trying to go in a very like classic medieval direction with like those classic pantaloons and riding boots. So I'm trying to, you know, show off that he was once a nobleman, and yeah, the proportions are also very realistic at this point. Later on, we're going to change that kind of stuff. And here I'm already starting to block out, and in very simple shapes, the sleeves of the fur coat, and then I duplicated the chest piece for the main part of the fur coat. I'm really trying to puff it up, and later I'm even making the fur coat even puffer. And yeah, and I worked on his character with a lot of, so all the main pieces are separated pieces, and yeah, the chest plate is also separated, and yeah, the fur coat is separated, and basically you could also like delete all the invisible faces underneath the fur coat to save polygons, but I didn't care, and I just like started blasting and working through it. And then I thought about like some kind of cowl he's wearing to cover up the back of his head, to cover up all of the dead skin, because it's still not clear to the townsfolk. Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he undead? What happened to him? Who created the fire in his castle? Is it true? And yeah, so basically his castle is gone, only in ruins, and so sticks and stones and stuff, and the only thing he has remaining on his property and on his land is a tavern. And this tavern is the Golden Bear Tavern with tomato cheese bread so pizza basically, and a puppet show. I think maybe wooden life-size marionettes of forest creatures. And so here's the texturing. Yeah, and after the modeling I jumped straight into the texturing, and yeah, my big goal was to just like make a grid with all the needed textures, and I learned that kind of approach from analyzing a lot of Morrowind. Yeah, it was Morrowind textures and characters and models, and they basically make this grid. They make individual units for each texture, so like for the legs, for the face, and they're working those units on the texture sheet, and then they just like straight on project from view and throw the UVs onto the grid. And yeah, it's a very lazy workflow, but with pixelation and stuff and with low resolution, it's not that noticeable. And yeah, I'm working on the limited like time, so time is a factor for me, so I have to cut corners wherever I can. So I was going with the Morrowind approach, and as you can see here, I tried to create these squares for each individual part I need, and then I readjusted those squares and put them on the main sheet. And yeah, And yeah, the fur coat, I was just looking up a fur coat on, I think it was Amazon or something like that, and I was trying to find something that looks very like rabbit-esque from the fur color, and here I'm using riding boots, and riding boots have a very like distinguished, interesting shape to them. They are very like silhouette focused, so they make very nice like legs and stuff. And yeah, and as you can see here, I was just like trying to symmetrize it as much as I can, and so I can really reuse both sides. And I was straightening up the foot, basically, like the actual pattern for the shoe. Yeah. And yeah, the main intention is basically this undead nobleman, and his castle is gone. So, and on his land, the only thing remaining is the townsfolk don't have like a clue. Only like, you know, certain stories get told about him and his background and stuff. And yeah, the only thing remaining is his tavern, and he's trying to lurk. He's trying to imposter a wood forest ghost, this rabbit silhouette more or less, but he has evil intentions, and he's trying to lurk people into his tavern with his tomato cheese bread and his marionettes. And so the creepiest thing about him, because I'm trying to create a creepy character, is his silhouette. You can't really figure out his unhuman silhouette. So my idea was the silhouette was deformed from being trapped underneath like his castle and stuff, and deformed, and also with the melting of his armor, his body gets like over time shapen into like this new like proportions and stuff. His proportions changed, and I was trying to basically recreate a somehow face with animal parts. So I played around with a lot of different animals. I used donkey and sheep like lips and teeth and stuff, and I think also llama teeth. And at first I was trying to use rabbit eyes, but they didn't looked menacing enough. So I thought about what was the total opposite of rabbit eyes. So I used in the end lion eyes, and I horizontally I flipped them, I mirrored them, so they are upside down lion eyes. And already you can see it's very creepy. And then because of Five Nights at Freddy's, I used pizza as a base layer of skin, and some chicken to get some flesh. So basically a chicken pizza. Yeah, and then this as a guide, I used the skull. I took a picture of the skull in the museum, in the history museum in Vienna, and it's a caveman skull, and then I used it as a guide to lay on top all these pieces. And I'm not very good in texture painting and stuff, but I always have to think about the limitations, so I will pixel the shit out of this thing in the end, and so I can get away with a lot of stuff, even though the painting and stuff and the texture isn't looking that perfect. Yeah, my main goal is to amplify the undeadness, the lich essence, this deformed character, and this animalistic characters, because all of his like trapped souls in those wooden marionettes in his tavern are animal characters. So he needs to have some animalistic features too. And I think the lion eyes and the donkey teeth, and then you have the silhouette of a bunny. In the end, it tells like a lot of like, it implies a lot of like lore pieces. So yeah, so I knew the face was the most important part, and yeah, was next part. Yeah, exactly. In the next part, I was squaring out my units for the texture, and yeah, I was squaring them out. Was like I said, I was working with those units, which were inspired by Morrowind. Wait, let me show you what I mean. Now you should see, I hope future me puts some B-roll of a Morrowind character in here. Yeah, and also they work with those units, and then they just like project from view and throw them onto the character, the UVs. And here I'm adjusting the colors, because like I worked in different layers and such, and also I use those color backgrounds for each unit to even out the color basically. And one very big part for me is I reduce the colors for each unit of texture, so I can even out even more of the problems, and it looks a bit more painterly because it has a limited color palette. And yeah, and it will combine all the individual units themselves even more. And then I thought about, at first I was thinking about not giving him hands, just like this, you know, coat, and the sleeves are covering up his hands, but I think it's way creepier to have like, and you have way more room to play around when you have distorted hands too. You can make gestures, and I also for the reveal animation I was having a lot of theatralic ideas for him, almost, you know, like in an opera or like theater, which would also like play into his character lore. So I needed hands, so good that I have like pictures of all of my body parts without exceptions for reference. And yeah, and again I'm playing around with the color values and trying to reduce the colors, combine it with the background to avoid bleeding later on when I project from view. And it will be necessary for me to model the face and the hands, and I didn't model them in the first place because I used the texture on screen as reference for modeling, so I get like exact representation of the face and the hands. And yeah, color adjustment I was trying to for the fur coat and for the fabric I was trying to get a bit more in the original design. It has very like distinguished like color elements, like the purple, then the metallic parts, and this yellowish rabbit fur. So I was trying with the hue to achieve exactly that again. So the character is more recognizable, recognizable. Here I have already stretched out the body proportions to get a more like a lean, elongated character. And here I was using this my texture as a reference to just really project from view the texture. And I was just like modeling based on skull proportions and on my texture. I was trying to emulate the supposed silhouette of the character's face. And later on I'm also like shifting the I applied the mirror modifier, and then I like shifted and incorporated a bit of asymmetry. And here I was making my hands. The best way to make low poly hands is by making the base part of your the base island of your hands, and then you just like modeling the tips of your fingers, and then you're connecting the in-betweens. That way you get the perfect like aspect ratio and proportions for your hands. That works for me. That works for me in drawing and in 3D modeling. A lot of drawing tutorials actually apply perfectly to 3D modeling, especially low poly modeling. And here I'm shifting. After I applied the texture with project from view, I played around with the proportions again, and I elongated the hands to play into the lean silhouette of the character. Yeah, here I'm working part by part through the character, and I'm just throwing on the pieces, project from view, select faces, project from view, project from view. And the cool thing is, I'm currently using for the texture the Photoshop file, so that means I can edit the image later on again and readjusting the individual units or adjusting the color and the hues, and it will apply to my character model. Yeah, and here I'm yeah, like I said, I work like the old school Morrowind character designs. I just select the faces and throw them onto my texture units. It's basically working with trim sheets and shit. And yeah, and also I reworked the belt. I turned the belt into an individual piece to get a bit more of a unique shape for the body, because it looked kind of weird to have it like connected to the legs. And there's and here you can see I'm changing bringing in some asymmetry in the face, and it makes him even creepier. And yeah, and here I'm adjusting a bit of the proportions, and I'm fucking done. Awesome. The character turned out perfectly. I'm so happy with the result. Future, if I continue to create more grimdark fantasy versions of Five Nights at Freddy's characters, I would change maybe a few things. And also for the big reveal when he takes off his coat, I want him even more distorted as a character, and reveal some molten armory parts underneath his outfit and his coat. Anyway, if you want to see more like character redesigns, reimaginings in a grimdark, low poly, retro style, just let me know. Or maybe I can continue with the Five Nights at Freddy's characters and extend this world I built here with William Afton, Sir Afton, and yeah, tell me what you think about him in the comments below, and watch another one. Watch another video. See you in the next one. Join my Patreon. Please. Okay, bye.